Hello, everyone, and welcome to Marvel-ous Movie Mondays. I'm back on the old set because I'm back in the old city, hometown, for sister's graduation and Father's Day and all a bunch of fun stuff. But first and foremost, I have to say welcome and hello to my fabulous co-host that I am so deeply sorry that I left her waiting in a whole hour to record this. I had a weird back spasm thing that delayed this a whole hour, and I feel horrible. But anyway, how are you, Kelsey?
I'm good. I'm slightly sunburned, if you can't tell.
I can tell a little bit, but you're still glowing through the sunburn,
Oh,
if that
thank
helps.
you. Thank you.
you're 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 glowing like the sun, and not the sunburn, if you will.
You're gonna
Uh,
make me turn red even more, Jill, because I'm blushing now.
yeah,
But
I'm on
thank
lots of
you for that.
painkillers, so my eyes may start turning red or something. I don't know.
Oh my god. What are you on? Vicodin?
um,
Percocet?
no.
Oxy? That's
I
always
wish.
I don't know if you're an Office person, but that's
Oh, I
always like
am.
my favorite like subtle quote like by Creed to
Oh,
say
yeah.
just randomly, and people just think that I just know painkillers off the top of my head. And I'm like, no, I'm totally quoting Creed, but
No, I
anyway,
got you. I'm a
thank
big
you.
big Office fan. I mean, how can you go wrong with The Office? Who's your favorite
Exactly.
character? Is it Creed?
Creed.
It is? Oh, that's
I
amazing.
love Creed. Oh
All
my
right,
god,
if
love
you had to
him.
guess mine, what would it be? Not who I resemble the most, because I'm very much a Michael, but like in terms of like how who my favorite would be.
I don't know why, but I feel like your favorite is Aaron.
No, no, but I can see that. That's a good. Actually, I'm more of an Andy than a Michael now that I think about it. But my favorite is Kevin. I'm a Kevin guy. Yeah,
Oh, okay. I
can't
can
go
see
wrong.
that. I can see that
Um,
too.
Anyway, we are here to talk about Loki episode 2, dropped on Wednesday. You're getting this 5 days later opposed to 3 days later because Disney Plus is mean and wanted to put things on Wednesdays now instead of Fridays. But we did get they put their new Pixar movie on a Friday. Why can't they keep putting Loki on Fridays? I'll never know. I mean, I probably do know. They probably think for some reason Wednesday attracts more viewers. I guess I really don't know.
Maybe because they have movies coming out on Fridays. As we've discovered looking further into the calendar,
Right.
Black Widow is dropping on a Friday that Loki would also be dropping on. So
It's
they're
a good
probably
point.
like
Yeah, and you will get 2 episodes
conflict.
that Monday too, which will be fantastic. And one of them, we've been talking a little bit about it, will be Kelsey and I are going to be in the same room talking about Black Widow right after we see it, which will be so cool. So you guys will get to see what we look like, and you'll get to really realize how short Kelsey is when we're
Okay,
sitting in
well,
the same room.
I didn't yeah, I guess maybe, but I can't can you really tell a difference that much when we're sitting?
Maybe
Probably.
not. Maybe I'll lower my stool.
I
um,
am very short. That's
Anyway,
fair,
no,
Dylan.
that wasn't to poke fun. That was to admire the shortness. See, my compliment was meant to be a compliment, but it didn't come across that way. And now looking back at it, well, I don't know how I thought it could have been a compliment, but
Listen, I'm not I've been this height for how many years now? It's just something that I live with it now. I'm 5 foot, in case anyone
there you
was
go. You made it.
curious.
You made it to five
So,
foot. That's all that
yeah.
matters. You can ride every ride at Disney World, and that's all that matters.
Yeah,
So
that is the important part.
there are some rides I can't ride because I'm too tall now. So like you're getting the best of both worlds. Like some of the
Really?
smaller rides where I don't think at Disney World, but like at like carnivals and shit, they're like, no, you're too big to ride this ride. And I'm like, oh.
Hmm.
So
Although I will say when I'm at Six Flags, like, people do come over to me with the stick to make sure that
oh
I'm
my
tall enough.
god.
That still
Wow.
happens to me to this day.
Shoot.
It's fine.
Oh.
They wanna make sure that I'm safe. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're looking out for your safety. I didn't know where I read it, but I read something about like a roller coaster. It might what is it, Six Flags? Something where I don't think someone got hurt, but like something broke down on some ride somewhere. I have to look into it, but yeah, I think there was like an incident of that where it's like, well, they didn't, one of the rides went to rust over the pandemic, and I don't think it was our Six Flags. It might have been
Oh.
another one. I don't know. But I have to look into that. Anyway, segueing from, I guess, roller coasters. I don't think any of us have news on roller coasters, but maybe you do. I don't know. We bring news to the table every single week. Before we get into our Loki review, where we break down the episode beat by beat, we will talk about the news. Kelsey, is there anything in the Marvel stratosphere that you want to talk about news wise?
I mean, I'm kind of like, late to the boat on this one, but I'll talk about it anyway.
Okay.
A lot of people are talking about this Thor Love and Thunder merch that dropped that gave us our first look at Natalie Portman as Lady Thor. So that was pretty cool. A lot of people
Nice.
are really excited about the fact that it's pretty accurate to the comic books, comic book accurate. So
Good.
that's exciting.
Yeah, I
It is
mean,
exciting.
I've always been pro Jane Foster. Some people aren't, but I'm very excited to see her step into this new role, especially now that we're getting Lady Lokis. It'll be cool to get a Lady Thor.
Yeah.
And she's holding the hammer, right?
Yeah, she is. She is holding either Mjolnir. I think it's Mjolnir
Yeah.
because Thor is clearly holding Stormbreaker. So
hmm But my question then is, when Cap left to return the stones, didn't he bring Mjolnir with him? And when he came back, there was no Mjolnir. So who knows where? I mean, it's probably Mjolnir, but I'm wondering how they got it back here.
well, I think he put it back like I think he brought it back like to 2013 whenever Dark World, whatever the
Oh,
year was in Dark World. Like I think he brought it back to that
gotcha. Oh, right,
timeline.
because that's where Thor gets it from when he meets his
Yes.
mom again. Oh, okay,
Yes.
you're right. See, this is why you're you're a co-host, and I'm not doing this by
Someone pointed
myself.
that out to me. I can't say that I had that original thought, but
Well, you had it more than I did, so I was gonna say that if this was just me podcasting, I'd be a freaking wreck. Anyway, my news is about a new series that is dropping, not a new like Marvel Cinematic Universe series, but a new series for Disney Junior. Disney Junior, as we know, very, very famous for, classics like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and Bear in the Big Blue House and all those iconic shows. They are doing a show called Spidey and His Amazing Friends, and it is about children superheroes. It's like Spider-Man if he was like a kid. It's almost like Teen Titans, I guess,
sure.
but like even younger. It's like three little Spider-Men. It's like Peter Parker, Miles Morales, and Gwen Stacy, like as little spider people, and it's
Aw.
titled Marvel Spidey and His Amazing Friends. And there's a little spider bot in the poster as well. I mean, I didn't queue up a picture, otherwise I would have showed it. But premieres June 21st on Disney Channel and Disney Junior. So I don't think we'll podcast about it, but I might watch the first episode just to be like, oh, that's cute. And then if I eventually have kids, which I hope to someday, and they don't hate me and they want to watch shows I want to watch, like Spider-Man, maybe they'll enjoy it too. Who knows? But that's really, really fun and cute. And there's a
Aw.
theme song that I would have put in here if it wasn't copyrighted, but go check it out on YouTube, the little theme song. It's cute. It's these three little kids running around with like little Spider-Man outfits. It's supposed to be them as
Aw.
babies. So
That is
I
fun
think.
and cute.
I don't know if they're supposed to be babies or just like small versions of them, their actual selves, but who knows? Anyway, enough baby talk. Let's talk about a grown-up who takes many forms. Bad segue. Sorry, I'm all bad segues today. It's painkillers. I'll blame it on the painkillers. We're talking about Loki, episode 2. Kelsey, you brought a synopsis. Let's just dive right into it. Let's go step in the portal of the TVA. Give us your little rundown on Loki, episode 2.
All right. So episode 2, titled The Variant. Mobius utilizes Loki's insight to catch the Loki variant that has been jumping through time.
That's it. And we find out who the variant is, or at least who we think the variant may be.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's the variant. Some people are like, oh, it's a faux variant. But I mean, like, how many fake outs can you have? And we'll talk later on our theories on who might be real, who might not be real. But overall thoughts on the episode just out the gate, Kels. What do you think?
Well, this one made me so excited for the rest of them.
Absolutely.
Episode 1 was a great setup, had some intense exposition in it. This one I was like, yes, this is the storylines and excitement I was waiting for in episode 1. It was great. I thoroughly enjoyed this one a lot.
Like by the end of it, I was like, I think this is the episode of all the episodes for these 3 shows. This is the episode where I've most wanted to just watch the third one right away. I was like, I need to know. I need to watch the rest. It's set up. This should have been, the 2 episodes should have been together, I think, because the thing with WandaVision that was nice is that the first episode of WandaVision kind of left on a little bit of a cliffhanger, but the second one is really where we kind of broke the mold and we were able to tease what was coming next. Here, it's here the first episode ended nicely, but then the second one is really where we got that huge cliffhanger, like, oh, now it's getting real. Like,
Mhm.
and I'm very excited for it. Like, that was the whole last scene in that store with the storm outside. Like, that whole thing was just so beautiful. And I was just so excited
Yeah.
seeing the variant and then seeing him run through the portal after her and all the
Mhm,
things like,
mhm.
oh, it was just so exciting. I'm so excited. Like,
Yeah.
I'm very, very excited. Like, this got me on board. The last one, I was like, okay, like, we'll see how this goes. And this one was like, no, you're hooked. I'm in. We're good.
Yeah, hook, line, and sinker, baby. We're in it now. We're in the
100%.
end game now.
Ah,
Dare I say? Dare
we're
I
far from
say?
the shallow now, as Lady Gaga would say.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
A
thank
little A
you.
Star Is Born reference. All right, why not? I'm
Bradley
gonna.
Cooper's Rocket Raccoon. It counts.
Okay, sure. Distant connection, but alas, a connection. So we started off this episode, Dill, with a cold open, as I'm calling it, in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I think that's how you say it.
Is that
In
a real place?
Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Well, they talk about Oshkosh, I think, in the show That 70s Show.
So it must be. Huh.
And so therefore it must be real.
It
If
just
it's
sounds
talked
so
about in
fake.
2 different TV shows, it's gotta be real.
All right.
They have a lot of weird names in Wisconsin. There's like Kenosha. That's like another place they talked about in like That 70s Show. Because That 70s Show takes place in Wisconsin. Anyway,
Okay.
so it's 1985, and we're starting out how we've seen a bunch of the Minutemen, as they're called, these like soldier looking people who work for the TVA, agents rather than soldiers. Minutemen are on a mission to, catch this variant, as we called it, her this episode. But everything quickly turns awry when like the general or captain of the squad, C-20, is possessed or brainwashed by something. We just see a spark of green go into her eyes, and she starts attacking her team. Then the hooded figure releases her from her grip and takes C-20 and the reset canister through a portal, and that's how we started this baby off.
Yeah, I
Then
was gonna
we,
say, I think
yeah,
one of our favorite movies, of course, is Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think it's because part of the reason I love it so much is that soundtrack. So when they had "Holding Out for a Hero"
yeah,
as
yeah,
like the
yeah,
song, and they just dropped the needle drop, I was like,
yep,
oh,
yep, yep.
like yeah, oh, so good. Like it's been in everything, Shrek 2 and so many other things, Footloose, but like this is where I was like, I was pumping my fist. I was like, yeah,
No, yeah,
I was vibing the whole time with this episode. I was thoroughly just in love with it. So
no,
you know.
100%. So then we cut to scene 1, and Dill, I cannot believe you called this interaction, this scene between Loki and Miss Minutes, when she's quizzing him on everything that he needs to know about Nexus events and, everything that the TVA does, basically. And he's really like interacting with this hologram / recording. And you were like so excited for that aspect. And in the back of my head, like listening to you, I was like, oh, that's never going to happen. And it happened. So I'm
But
happy.
I have a bone to pick with Loki though. He was being pretty
Okay.
mean. He was being mean to my girl though.
Miss
He
Minutes,
was
yeah.
yeah, she's my homegirl and he was treating her like garbage, but you know what? It was still a fun interaction. And
Yeah.
seeing her in it, I was like, that's so great. It's funny, I actually tagged the Twitter Miss Minutes account that just got invented a few days ago. I
Oh,
tagged
yeah?
it in my review and she liked my tweet. So I got a notification that said Miss Minutes liked your tweet.
Oh my
And
god, no
she's got the
way!
certified blue check and everything. I was like, hell yeah. Like
Wait, that is so exciting.
I was like, so when I become a member of the TVA, she can, we can have a conversation. I will be much nicer to her than Loki was, but everything okay?
Yeah, I just, like, hear something, like,
Oh,
I just
it's
wanted
Miss
to make
Minutes. She wants to
it's
chime
Miss
in.
Minutes. She's at my door. Honestly, I'm most terrified of Miss Minutes, I think,
Yeah,
out
I
of
was gonna say
everyone.
I don't love the color orange, but somehow our background, the bricks are orange, and then this room
Oh,
is orange,
yeah.
and Miss Minutes is orange. So like I'm kind of liking orange again. Who
Our
knows?
whole aesthetic is based off of Miss Minutes at this point.
Honestly,
Um,
yeah, we planned that.
the most important piece of information that we learned from this interaction was that when the Nexus reaches the red line, which we've heard in episode 1, like, this branch has almost reached the red line. So once that happens, the TVA can no longer reset it. It's done. Boom. That branch now exists forever and always. And then Mobius takes Loki to the scene of the crime in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. One oh yeah. So then they're kind of having this team meeting beforehand. We kind of see this back and forth from like the main agent, that the squad leader. I think her like verification code or something is C-15, like how C-20 was attacked in the beginning.
Mhm.
I think hers is C-15. So that's what I'm
Okay.
going to refer to her as because I don't know her name. And
Cool.
I just love this like back and forth like Loki quips. You know, like it's just so fun to watch Tom
Mhm.
Hiddleston in this. It's really, I'm having a great time with Loki.
Definitely.
So then we're at the scene of the crime with Loki. You know, this is what I like to call this moment old habits die hard, because he's still trying to like use his old tricks. You know, he's stalling for time. He's trying to keep them distracted. He's going off about this metaphor with like a wolf's teeth and ears and all this nonsense. And right before, you know, he really has Mobius in the palm of his hand, Mobius realizes that he's completely lying. He's been bullshitting them the whole time. And then we actually see what the canister does, which basically it just wipes away anything that's just not supposed to be there, and the branch disappears. We didn't get to see that in episode 1. We
Yeah.
got to see what it does in this episode.
Pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We could have guessed, but I don't know. Maybe something more exciting happens later on with the canister in this
Who
episode.
knows?
We'll get there when we get there.
Oh.
So scene 3, we're now in the judge's office where Mobius is talking to the judge. Don't know her name either. We're going to refer to her as the judge. And she's basically just like warning him against like utilizing Loki. She's like, he's not trustworthy. He's going to blow this whole operation. Like he should have been reset since day 1. And Mobius believes that understanding this Loki will help them understand the variant Loki that they're after. And we learned that Mobius has never met the timekeepers. He's like, how are they? And she's like, how do you think they are? They're busy, you know, trying to like keep all of time together.
You know.
And then we see this. I forgot to look into this, and I guess we'll talk about it maybe later if you looked into it with Easter eggs. But we see that he signs something for the incident report, and he's using a pen that says Franklin D. Roosevelt High School.
Yeah, I actually, disclaimer, I didn't look into it because I
Okay,
was
great.
worried it would like lead to too many answers. But I do
Sure,
have a
sure,
theory
sure.
about the timekeepers, which we can get to at the very end.
All
But
right,
I have
awesome.
some theories.
I would love to hear your theories at the end.
Yeah.
So then we see Mobius put Loki in charge of going through the files, and he refers to him as a scared little boy shivering in the cold, which I thought might have been a jab at his frost giant roots, mirroring that maybe some way, somehow. So then we see Loki in the library. He's going through these files of the variant. He goes up to a librarian or a secretary of some sort and says, you know, what files can I see around here if you won't show me the ones?
Roz from Monsters Inc. I like to
Yeah,
call her
yeah.
because she's such a
No,
a
yeah,
cranky
exactly.
old-
She doesn't even talk to him until he like rings the bell that doesn't even work. So it's like, why
Right.
do you have it? And then he's handed all the files that are on him, and he starts going through them, and he comes across a really interesting file labeled The Destruction of Asgard, as we know it to be Ragnarok. And he's reading all of this. He's going through, he's seeing, you know, the death toll, the complete destruction and annihilation of it. He's reading all about it, and we can see that he's swelling up. He's a sentimental guy. I think he's, you know, really sensitive at heart, and we can see that, you know, despite him trying to make us believe that he doesn't have any real connection to Thor or Odin or Asgard at all, he does at at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But what really catches his eye in this file is the fact that it says 0 variance energy detected. Which then sparks this whole theory that he has that the variant is hiding in different apocalypses throughout history, because no matter what you do right before an apocalypse, the world ends anyway, and everything gets kind of reset naturally, not by the TVA, but just it gets reset by history. And
Yeah,
so therefore
there's no one to kind of continue the timeline. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So you can kind of get away with doing whatever you want because the world's ending anyway. Um he takes his theory to Mobius to then he has this whole bit with him ruining his salad. During this conversation, as much as I enjoyed this visualization with his lunch and him taking the drink from Casey and ruining his salad, he says what he says, like Ragnarok, for instance, I could throw Hulk off the Rainbow Bridge. And I'm like, the Rainbow Bridge is called the Bifrost. Why didn't you call it the
Oh.
Bifrost? I
don't
just
know.
thought that was weird and like a weird detail for Loki not to have called like that bridge the Bifrost because like he
That's a good
knows
point.
it as the Bifrost.
I'm wondering if maybe it's just to make it more like understandable for Owen Wilson's character, for Morbius, maybe?
Sure,
Not
sure.
Morbius. Mobius?
Mobius.
Morbius is the vampire. Got it. Yeah. So I keep because there's like I said last week, there's a movie called Morbius coming out with Jared Leto next year, and it is a Marvel movie. So like it's still in like the back burner where I'm
Sure.
like, But anyway, yeah, maybe it was just to make it more like relatable, like what I'm talking about, the Rainbow Bridge instead of the Bifrost.
Yeah,
because then
maybe.
he'll be like, "What's the Bifrost, man?"
It was also probably for like the audience too, if you like don't remember the Bifrost from the Thor movies.
Right, but that's a
Anyway.
good detail. That's your Marvel historian peeking through, fact checking that out.
It's a blessing and a curse.
They could have used you on set. That's all I'll say. But
they should have a designated like super fan on set to like fact check and like make sure things are lining up with the stories. I feel like Endgame would have.
John Walker is not Captain America. You need to redo that.
Endgame would have probably been wildly different if someone from the fandom was like, I'm sorry, what the heck are you gonna do with Cap's character? This is not how he should end. Like,
yeah, that's your gay representation in the support group. Yeah, come on. We need Valkyrie to do something else in this.
Yeah, exactly. So then they decide to test their theory to see if Loki's right. They travel to Pompeii, Italy.
Yep.
Thank God. So they travel to Pompeii, Italy, which
it's a vast nothingness now, but
yeah, exactly. Which historically gets destroyed by a volcano. Loki, causes a ruckus in the middle of this small village. He releases goats, to which he says, "Be free, my horned friends," which I thought was a cute little detail to include, being that they both rock some nice horns on their head. And they find out that Loki's right, because even though they've created this weird mess in history, there's no variant energy detected because the volcano eruption is coming. They're about to be wiped off the planet anyway. Mobius loves... Oh, so then they have this whole... I'm like reading my notes.
Jet skis?
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. Because then they have this whole scene where they're like, okay, well, now we have to go through every apocalypse throughout history to find out where this variant could be hiding. They decide to take a break, to which they have this whole conversation about jet skis. And I just said, Mobius loves jet skis, and if he doesn't ride one by the end of this series, I'm going to be upset.
I think this is one of those things where like it's gonna be something they do not talk about for the rest of the series until episode 6, the last episode where he is on a jet ski. I think it is gonna be very much like that'll be like the last shot, because I think a lot of this scene, and we'll talk about it a little bit more too in your synopsis later, but like a lot of this also was talking about the idea of, once you're in the TVA, that's kind of your life. And Mobius not really being able to experience a real life outside of it. And I think, some of my theories, which we'll get to later, as I said, maybe at the end of all this, he does get to go away and live a normal life and have that jet ski ride and experience what it's like to actually live rather than watch and monitor other people's living. And I think that's one of the statements I think they're trying to brew a little bit to later on make a big statement with later, especially with his character, because I do think he is such an interesting character. I didn't like Owen Wilson very much before, but I'm officially like on his train as well. I'm officially like, I get it. I'm totally like, yes, great casting. And this moment is great between the two of them because he's just so, he just loves a jet ski. He likes them. He reads about them. And he just wants
a jet ski, man.
Yeah.
Really, I liked Owen Wilson, like, right off the bat. I don't know, something about him, his, like, dynamic with, like, Tom Hiddleston,
Hmm.
like, I think that they have, like, great chemistry
Yeah.
together, and they're, like, bouncing off of each other
Yeah.
really, really well.
I liked him in the first episode. This one I was really like sold on him. Like
Yeah.
I meant like I didn't love Owen Wilson before like this series. Like I was always just like, it's Owen Wilson, you know. He was
Yeah.
always kind of just like one note for me in other
Sure,
things.
sure,
Like it was
sure.
always just like yeah, Lightning McQueen. but
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I think he's doing a good job.
No, I agree. So they're having this whole conversation about Loki doesn't really understand like why the TVA exists, what the timekeepers or time lizards as he calls them are, what they're doing, and Mobius is trying to explain to him like they're untangling like the rest of time. They're trying to figure out themselves like what happens when all this ends, and Mobius tries to explain to him that once it's all done, no more Nexus events, and we meet in peace at the end of time. And I'm just thinking throughout this entire conversation, I'm like, just because like the past is all done, like doesn't that mean like people can still go back to the past and like fuck it up? I feel like the TVA will always need to exist because there's always going to be the past, even if there's no future.
Well, and that's what's interesting. I wonder if the series is going to end with them saying, you know what, there are going to be multiple timelines, deal with it, or if they're going to find a way to prevent people from even time traveling at all. I
Mm,
don't know. I think those are the kind of the loopholes that I feel like are inevitable to us as the viewer that they're going to have to address, and if they don't address, it's only going to arise further questions. I'm not saying it necessarily need to address it in this one. Maybe they'll address it in Doctor Strange 2. I don't know, but yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of that. Like yeah, Cap could go back in time. I mean, that's what happened. They went back in time to 2012, and Loki jumped out of it. Like that already was going back
mhm.
in time. So who knows? You know.
Yeah. So they bring it back to the moment when Mobius called Loki like a scared little boy. They bring it back to that conversation. And this was honestly a really interesting line that I wanted to point out because I feel like this is going to be an ongoing theme. I mean, it's already kind of been an ongoing theme in Loki's existence, but especially for the rest of the show. Loki says, "Well, there's a difference between me and a scared little boy. Is because I know something children don't, and that's that no one bad is ever truly bad, and no one good is ever truly good." And I feel like that is just sums up Loki in like one line. And what made me think of this line is like I always think of Thanos, right? Because obviously we don't want him to snap away half of humanity, your loved ones, half the Avengers,
Right.
our most beloved characters, Spidey included. But we kind of understand where he's coming from because he doesn't want people to live in poverty. He wants humanity and life across the universe to thrive, and they can only
Hmm.
do that if they have enough resources and room to live and all that jazz. And then
Right.
it's people like Tony Stark, who's on the opposite end, who is supposed to be one of the good guys, but then is clearly not one of the good guys in like Age of Ultron. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Because it's
Yeah.
like in that movie, he is his own worst enemy,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, so many characters like those are very much still heroes and villains. But even look at like Bucky and Nebula, like those two characters especially
Right.
have been like on like a roller coaster between good and bad too. So yeah, I agree. I think Loki fits in that perfectly, and I think that's a good way for people to still honor him as a villain because he is a notorious villain in this franchise. Like we don't want
Mhm.
to take that away from him, but also we want to be able to root for him and like him and stuff. So I get that 100%.
No, yeah, 100%. So anyway, this whole talk about the scared little boy brings Mobius back to the moment where the boy from the church handed him the stick of gum from the first Nexus event that we saw in I believe it was like I'm going to take a guess at the year, 1549. Let's
Great.
see what year it actually was
Oh, do you have the
because I wrote
actual
it
answer
down.
there? Oh, great.
Holy Toledo. It's 1549.
Kelsey, you gotta do some of the movie trivia leagues. I gotta get you
I
signed
have to
up
do
there.
something. I have to put this memory to use. It's
Yeah.
got to win me
Otherwise,
some money some
right,
way, somehow.
right. Well, we'll get there with this eventually. If y'all keep listening and tell your friends, promo, you just listen to the Anchor commercial if you're listening on audio. Like, go on Anchor, make your own podcast, and then follow ours.
No, yeah. So this brings them to then decide that they should only look for apocalypse events that have taken place any point in time where this gum existed. So that brings them to an apocalyptic event that happened in the year 2050 in Haven Hills, Alabama. So they go to a rocks cart, which is basically like the Walmart of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because it's basically this like huge grocery store where someone could do a decent amount of living and just returning back to and setting up, planning, plotting, whatever, and then boom, it gets wiped out by the hurricane. You can start all over. So it seems like a great place to do some shenanigans, if I do say so myself. So we have this great little moment where they're walking through the storm. They get into Rock's car, and just this quick little moment of Loki using his magic to dry himself off. And I want to see more. I want to see more of Loki using his magic in all of his glory.
Yeah.
I wanted to see it more than just him, fixing his hair and whatever. But it was cute, this little moment that they included. And then C-15, the captain or the general I've been calling her, insists to watch over Loki because she just doesn't trust him. She wants to keep him on a tight leash. This, as Loki and C-15 are walking through the grocery store, this mega mart, if you will, there's a guy shopping for plants in the middle of the hurricane, which we soon realize is a person that is just under the variant spell, as we saw C-20 in the beginning. And then we cut to Mobius and his team members who have found C-20. And she's kind of in this trance. She just keeps repeating over and over again, it's real, it's real, it's real. And we don't really know what she's referring to. I guess we'll get into theories about what she might be referring to later, Dill.
Interesting. Cool.
And then the variant, the guy who is possessed buying plants, takes over C-15, the captain, the general, and he's having this whole conversation with Loki about what they want, what they're doing. And it was just interesting to watch these, different actors like play this character that we haven't even seen yet,
Right. It reminds me of, have you ever seen the like live action Scooby-Doo?
Yes, when they're all
like
switching bodies.
Their heads are switching body. That's exactly what I thought of, because I was like, wow, this is such a good acting exercise to see how all these people interpret this one character, because literally it's just, you're Loki, go. It's your 15 seconds of fame, and this like one guy with the plants is like, okay, well, 15 seconds, like, let's do it. And he could put on his resume Loki variant body or whatever in his resume, and that's in his life forever. So really cool acting stuff, and just a cool everything.
So at some point Loki calls the variant Loki, and they go, oh, don't call me that. So I just included that because that goes into what I have to say later. And then we cut back to C-20. I keep almost saying scene, but it's right. C. We go, because you're breaking down the scenes. I get it. Exactly. Yeah. We cut back to the character C-20, and she's saying, I want to go home. And she's saying, I gave it away. And they're like, what are you talking about? What did you give away? And she says, I gave away the timekeeper's location. I gave away how to find them. Then see,
for some reason I missed that.
Oh,
did I blink? What?
I don't know. You were in a blackout in that moment.
I guess I was still like just in awe of everything that was happening. That I was like,
no, it was a lot of like jumping back and forth. Like a lot was going in this, a lot was happening in this final act.
I watched this twice and I missed that. Wow. Okay. Great.
No, yeah, she totally like snitched on the timekeepers.
Well, there you go.
So then C-15 is free from the possession, from the trance, and now the variant has possessed someone else's body. His name is Randy. He's a Roxcar worker, employee. And we kind of see her break out of this trance, and she's also like slightly terrified. We just see her eyes kind of glaze over, and she's like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened to me. So whatever happens to people when they come under possession under this variant, like, must be terrifying, because I didn't think that it was really going to shake her up, because she's kind of been this like really strong female character, but to see her like be shaken up.
It's almost like WandaVision too, when the hex is gone and those people start to be like, "Whoa, what's happening?" Who's?
Oh, sure,
it's Wanda, running. It reminded me of that as well.
And then a different man is under the variant's control, and it's this big like lumberjack guy who's just kind of throwing Loki around. And Loki has this cute moment where he says, "I would never treat me like this," and which goes into something else that I have to say.
You
And
have a lot of theories.
well, I don't have a lot of theories. I have like one theory where like
with a
all
lot of
these little
strings attached.
details
Yeah.
are
Gotcha.
exactly. A lot of branches of reality go into this
Right.
one timeline, if you will.
Yeah.
And then we see that there've been we see someone kind of working in the background while Loki's fighting all these different people, and we see that there's multiple canisters. She has like one main control that she uses to finally we get a reveal. It is a woman. They've been assuming it's a guy this whole time, but she reveals herself to be a woman, and she just simply says to Loki, "This isn't about you." She presses a button, and then all the canisters get sent through different timelines. They all go through their own portals to different places across the world, obviously creating multiple branches across the timeline. The sacred timeline has been bombed, as one of the characters say back at the TVA. And and then Lady Loki, or that's what I'm calling her now, but I don't know we don't really know what her character name is, because I was watching it with subtitles to see if they called her anything, and they just referred to her as the variant. So we don't know what her character name is.
It's like Baby Yoda, where they kept referring to him as the child until he became known as Grogu, but everyone called him Baby Yoda. So it was always like Baby Yoda, the child, Grogu. I feel like it's Lady Loki, the variant, and then whatever her real name is, but we'll still always call her Lady Loki. You know what I mean?
So Lady Loki leaves through her own portal, and just before Mobius can get to him, we kind of see him decide what's he going to do, and he steps through the portal after her.
And did you take this as a, like, I am going to go, like, chase her down and stop her, or this is my chance to break away and, like, do my own thing now?
Well, that's a really interesting question, Dill. I honestly don't know, because you just never know with Loki.
I think he's going to stop her.
I think he's going to stop her too. I'm leaning more in that direction.
As much as it's only been 2 episodes, I think they've done enough growth to the point where they are able to now say, okay, I'm in this now for the mission, for everyone. I think because he also knows now that this is not stuff to mess around with, and he wants to be free. He wants to go back to his normal timeline anyway. So, yeah.
But what was I going to say?
He steps into the portal and escapes. Something about Mobius, or
no, I think he's going to stop her, but
you never know with Loki.
Oh my god, I had a thought and then I completely lost it. Oh, maybe I'll think of it later. Yeah. But anyway, I wrote down, so they cut to like not a camera, like a TV of like all the branches breaking off.
Yeah, it was almost like an airport, kind of like departures list of like different locations. It reminded me of.
No, yeah. So
did you jot down all the different places?
Yes, I wrote down all the different places because I needed to know.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously. So we see some random locations throughout the world, but we also see some locations of places that we've been and heard about in the MCU. So
maybe entire people that are also planets. Who knows?
Oh, yeah. I see what you did there. So we see Lisbon, Portugal, Vormir, Thornton, USA, Cookville, USA, Asgard, Rome, Italy, Sakar, a place called Barichara, maybe. Sorry if I butchered that, if you're from there.
We still love you. Thank you for listening, Baracharans.
Ego is listed.
Yeah.
Titan, as we know, Thanos' home planet. New York, USA. Hala, the planet,
for the Kree.
The Kree planet that Captain Marvel grows up on. Kingsport, USA, Xandar, and Beijing, China was the last location I could see before they cut away.
Yeah. I found one other one too. You hit all the other ones. I also found Jotunheim, which is...
Oh, Jotunheim?
Yeah, for the realm of the frost giants as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, but you
Oh,
found like 10 more than I found though. I found like
oh,
6 of
really?
them and you found so many. I was very impressed. Yeah, I was like really excited when I saw Ego and like Jotunheim and the rest you found. I didn't even see Titan on there, which is crazy. Thanos, maybe he's back too. I don't know.
So I wrote down all the dates too, and the only dates that the only date I should say that stuck out to me was the one from New York, USA, which is
Mhm.
September 21st, 1947.
Oh.
And as we know, there's an Avenger who's from the 1940s, who's
And who's
from
in
New York,
ice?
who committed a time heist. So a lot of people think that this might have something to do with Steve.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think about that, Jill.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is this series, episode 1 made it seem like there's someone jumping around through time and you have to try to chase them. But now
Mm,
this episode has been like, okay, so you've got to chase this person still, but now you've also got to set an end to all these other timelines. So now it's almost going to feel like there are so many different things to accomplish, and I'm very excited to see how they do it. My only hesitancy and worry is just that there's only 4 episodes left. So like, how
mhm.
are they gonna do it all? Like, I was just almost amazed. It was like they are setting up so much that I'm like, there has to be something that just kind of like something else that's gonna like change up what we think this is gonna be. Because now it's like setting it up to where like we're assuming Loki goes after the variant, and then like Mobius might go after Loki, but then the others will try to like figure out these other timelines and stuff. Maybe she'll jump around to other apocalypses. Like I was really excited to see if like she would
Mm,
go to other like natural disasters, see if Loki ends up in Asgard during Ragnarok. Maybe there's a way to save Asgard in some way. And
mm.
I don't know. I really don't know. And it's exciting, but like I don't want to like necessarily get my hopes up that like Cap will be in it because I don't think he will.
Yeah,
But
me
maybe they'll
neither.
like at least discuss it. Like I don't even know. Like
If
Thanos,
anything, I
Titan,
could
who
see
knows?
them
Ego.
yeah, if anything, I could see them like a part of like the Cap train, getting Haley Atwell, who plays Peggy Carter, involved some way somehow. I think that's as far as they
Hmm.
could take it because
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that Chris Evans is like just done
Hmm.
the MCU unless it's something like super big, like I don't know, like Cap being involved in like Captain America 4 some way somehow. Like I think that's
Right.
the only thing that might bring him back. Maybe slim to none chance there, but
Right.
um I remember what I was going to say. So
Oh,
the
great.
entire it's confusing with Loki because then the entire conversation he's having with like, the different variants before he steps through the portal is about him, he says I've been working for myself the whole time. I've just been playing these fools because I'm trying to like overthrow the timekeepers and take over the TVA. And if that's not her goal, then why create a multiverse of madness, if you will? So I'm really intrigued as to what this lady Loki wants and
Yeah.
what she's doing because as
And
we
what she already
know
knows as well. Like what does she
exactly.
know that we don't?
And from because what we know from Loki is that I'm completely looking at her through a different lens of like, not every person who's bad is truly bad, not everyone who's good is truly good. So obviously she must be doing something for some reason and it must be, some I don't know, she's trying to
Right.
save probably trying to save like a loved one, something like that. It's
Yeah.
it's got to be for like a good reason that we can
Hmm.
like relate with.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I also hope with all this that they do get Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston back together sooner rather than later. I hope they aren't
Mhm.
split up for too long just because I think their dynamic is what drives the show. It is essentially a buddy cop movie. It's the two guys. It's the
Mhm.
older, wiser guy. It's Morgan Freeman in Seven. It's Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon, and then you've got the younger guy who's kind of the rebellious one, the one who kind of like acts out of line, which is the Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon or the
Right.
Brad Pitt in Seven. Like there's always that dynamic that works so well that I hope they don't get rid of. I also hope now that we're going into all these multiverses and stuff that they still find a way to put Miss Minutes in all of it because
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
my
yeah.
favorite. And the last thing I had to say before I get into like our theories and stuff, there was one
Sure.
Easter egg. I again like I didn't try to go too hard with the Easter egg because I didn't want to spoil too much for myself in case there was stuff out there. But
Mhm.
there is a really, really funny poster I saw in the TVA when they're eating the salad or when he's destroying the salad that Wilson was trying to eat.
Yeah.
That says the timeline won't wait for seconds, which I think is a hilarious play on words because you don't have time to have a second portion of food, but also like time and
Oh.
minutes, hours. I was just
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
that is so creative. I was like, that Miss Minutes had to think of that one. That was a good one.
Miss
I was
Minutes
like,
made that poster.
mm.
You know it.
So now let's get in. Do you have anything else to say about the actual episode
I
itself?
had one Easter egg that I also
Okay.
found.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's an Easter egg, but I saw numbers. I had to write them down.
Of course.
So when Loki's reading the magazine about the jet skis, we see just in the top corner that the magazine is volume number 26 or volume 26, number 4. And obviously, like volume number that that automatically made me think of comic books. So I had
Right.
to look into if this had anything to do with a Loki's comic book or a Thor comic book anyway. And the only thing that I could find, strangely, was a comic book called Avengers versus X-Men. So I don't know what that's doing in there.
Whoa.
Granted, it is volume 4, number 26. It's flip-flop, so
Okay.
it's a stretch, but that's the only thing that I could come across
Hey.
with the numbers 26 and 4
Kelsey,
involved.
Apocalypse. What if they go to X-Men Apocalypse and that's how Ralph Boner gets into this universe because it's Quicksilver in it? We were right, and it is a multiverse, and the X-Men are in it, and now this is the X-Men coming to the MCU, and Hugh Jackman is going to de-age himself 20 years and play Wolverine again, and this whole thing's going to be X-Men and X-Men.
Listen.
And Ryan Reynolds is the big secret cameo of episode 3 as Deadpool. There you go.
Okay, well, listen, I was on that train for the most part, but then you kind of went off the rails for me.
Oh, I know. I totally went astray from the timeline, but
yeah, you did. You created
there's
next
the TVA
event for sure.
Oh no, it's coming to get me.
Dylan, if any of that is true, if they go to Apocalypse and that, I mean, they're not. Like, they're simply not.
No, they're not.
Because like, my mind would explode if that happened. Like, you'd have to hose me off the walls because my brain would just be everywhere.
Or maybe, I don't think they'll tie in any of these shows yet. I just think because, like, they want to kind of make them their own thing because some people didn't like WandaVision. Some people didn't like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So to, like, try to cross those already so soon, I don't think they're going to do it, but who knows?
Who knows? So, theories.
Yeah, I have one theory, and that's just like, who are these timekeepers? Because now we know that Mobius hasn't even seen them. Like, come on now. Like, to me, I'm thinking this is Mandarin 2.0. These are just a bunch of, I bet they're 3 old guys sitting in a room, don't know what the fuck they're doing. I just think they're just like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like just 3 old dudes sitting in a room, like almost like Wizard of Oz, where it's like you pull the curtain back and it's these guys like, like I just like, I feel like there's got to be something there, and I just feel with how vague the judge was being, I feel like the judge might be someone who's behind some shit. Who knows? Just because. When Owen Wilson is like one of the main guys at the TVA and he doesn't know who the timekeepers are, he's never met them, but like this judge has, but he hasn't had that opportunity. You'd think he'd meet the 3 timekeepers by now. Maybe it's Miss Minutes and she's behind the whole thing. Who knows?
I would honestly love that.
I would love that too. But I don't think they're necessarily going to be villains, but I don't know necessarily how much control they actually have, and that might be why Loki is in this show. Why this show exists is because maybe Loki is going to be the way. Maybe Loki is going to become the timekeeper, and he's going to basically be in charge of time. That'll be his new role in the MCU, because to end the series with him just being back in the MCU, I feel like it would strip away a lot of the emotional weight that Thor had in the last 2 movies, in Infinity War and Endgame. I think it would strip away a lot of his emotional weight to just make him alive again. So maybe they will make him like the new timekeeper or something. I'm just thinking these timekeepers there's something vague about them that I don't like, that I don't trust. I don't know who is the timekeeper, who are the timekeepers. I still love your Stan Lee Guardians of the Galaxy 2 theory. But yeah, it was just, I get weird vibes. But do you have any idea of who like these timekeepers could be? Do you have that inkling at all, or are you just like, yeah, they're real, they're just busy?
No, I agree. I get a weird vibe from them too, because I just think that, honestly, I feel like they probably just like don't know. Like, how can you know what happens for the rest of time for like every single living being across the universe. Like that's like insane that they have like
Yeah.
everyone's like course predetermined. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Yeah, and I think the Wizard of Oz thing, now that I'm, like, thinking about it, it makes sense because
Yeah.
like, they're on this yellow brick road and, like, they're trying to get to the timekeepers at the end of the yellow brick road, and is the
Mhm.
timekeepers gonna just be these 3 random dudes who are just sitting around and eating biscuits and drinking tea, you know? Like, who knows? If they are these almighty beings, great, I hope they're really cool. But just something about it just seems fishy. But that's, like, my only theory. It's not even a theory, it's just a speculation or
Yeah, sure.
a question of like, who are these guys? What are your theories and thoughts? Because I'd love to hear them. Because Kelsey, you have the best theories and thoughts, and I cannot wait to hear them.
Thank you. Well, I don't have much today because I
Okay.
really only I looked into another character, and that
Oh,
had to be, of course, the variant Lady Loki herself, because I
okay.
want to know what's going on with her, what she's
Right.
doing in all of this, why she's doing what she's doing. And I had to look into a name that's kind of been tossed around the internet, TikTok specifically, which is people think that she's the Enchantress. Now I
Oh.
looked into the Enchantress, and her real name, I'll say in quotes, is Amora, and her powers are she can control the minds of men, she can enslave them with her kiss, and she creates fire bolts in her hands, and
Oh.
those are her powers.
Have we
And I
ever had
was
a fire thrower in the MCU? I don't think we have.
no,
Like, like
I
we've had
don't.
Zuko in Avatar. There's Johnny Storm in Fantastic Four, but we've never had it in the
I
MCU.
We don't have a firebender in the MCU. No. So I don't know, but I was reading up on her in my handy dandy Marvel encyclopedia behind me, and I noticed this one bit of information about a younger enchantress who, she's a part of like the Norse mythology. She's from Asgard. She has storylines in the comic books with Thor and Loki.
Hmm.
But another storyline that she has is a younger enchantress believed she was from Asgard, but found out that her real name is Sylvie Lushton, and she's from Bruxton, Oklahoma. And where did the first thing take place in the first episode? Oklahoma, baby. Case closed.
There it is. It's her.
So, I should have brought up a picture, but her picture in the
Very similar.
encyclopedia very similar to what the character looks like in the show.
So
So,
do you think she's a variant who is also her, or do you think this is just her, like this other character, and there's no variant, and it's like a mislead or something?
I think that she might be like a variant of Loki, but I think that like it's kind of like you in like a parallel universe. Like
Okay,
you don't know that a parallel universe is there to begin with, so you don't think that there's a parallel you,
be freaking
but
crazy if it was.
you know, exactly. It's like, meeting you and like what you would be like in that timeline kind of thing.
I was gonna say
Like,
this show has just made me want to like explore time like that, and I know I can't, and it makes me sad. Like Owen
yeah.
Wilson, I'll trade. You can take the jet skis. I have a jet ski. You can take it, and I will go into the time TVA. I want this. I want to like jump around time and see shit. But
So speaking of the TVA, like these timekeepers like not like birthed, but like created like Owen Wilson and like all these people like specifically to work in the TVA. Like they've never known another life
is that a question or
besides
like
like yes, but also no, because I feel like it is yes, because
right,
Casey, the guy who works at the front desk, remember he didn't know what a fish was. Like he
right?
didn't
And
understand.
do they age? Also, is that a question? Like, is that something? Like, do they age or are
I
they
don't
always just
know.
right? It's
And
weird.
also, is the TVA in the future? Like, where are we? Because when they go
Well,
back
it's
to
got to be
Pompeii,
because it's
Loki's like,
2012.
"Where are we from the future?" But
That's
they
so
go
weird.
like everywhere throughout time. So
They
what
go forward and
time?
backward.
Like what year is the TVA in?
I don't think there is one. I think it's just like
A timeline?
like a
You just think
nucleus of I don't
they're
know.
just
I
like a
really don't know.
speck, a dust speck on someone's
Yeah, so
dandelion?
the show is gonna end. It's gonna just pan out, and we're gonna see this clover in the middle of a field,
Clover, that's the word I was looking for.
and we're just gonna see this elephant just come honking on by, and he's gonna pick up this clover and be like, "What's that?" And he's gonna put up his ear to the clover,
It's
and
Loki yelling for help.
Tom Hiddleston in his like little emo JoJo thing is just gonna be like, help me, and then they're gonna have a great friendship and beautiful friendship blossom, and they're gonna live the happiest days on the spec, and then they're gonna make a musical of it, and then they're gonna make a movie, and then Dr. Seuss is gonna come back from the dead and write a book on it. That was Horton Hears a Who. Very emotional story to me, so I'm getting a little choked up, but Kelsey and I have been there way too many times.
PTSD, honestly, from everything you just said. I'm having war flashbacks.
I'm having like good flashbacks, like I don't know if I want to go through it again, but like for those who are listening and don't understand what we're talking about, we were in 2 productions together of Seussical, one when we were very young, and then one we were in high school. Seussical is a musical based on the Dr. Seuss stories, and we were specifically talking about Horton Hears a Who, and the fact that all of Whoville is on a dust speck, but that the Jungle of Newell itself is also on a dust speck. So the fact that we might also just be on a dust speck floating through space, who knows? If Loki could somehow connect to Horton Hears a Who, I'm giving it 5 stars on Letterboxd. I'm going to walk myself to Anaheim, California, go to Avengers Campus and just be like, here's all my money.
Just here it is.
Can I scrub bathrooms here at Avengers Campus? Because my life is devoted to you, and I will literally live to the end of my days in Avengers Campus because I love you all so much. So, Horton Hears Who, if you guys want my labor for the rest of your life, Marvel, your brute labor, please make it connect to Horton Hears Who, please. When I'm off painkillers, I can't wait to listen to this back and see what I just said.
I think it'll connect to X-Men Apocalypse before it connects to Horton Hears a Who.
Or the voice of Horton is Oscar Isaac.
Oh my god. I know it's Jim Carrey.
No, I know, but like that would be cool if they like recast it.
Oscar
Isaac as Horton, Oscar Isaac as Apocalypse as Horton. Like Apocalypse is in the voice booth, just like, I see a dust speck. Like, all monotone and all that shit, but we're just going off on a tangent. And I think that's the beauty of Loki, and that's why we're able to do it now. It's just go off on tangents because that's what it's about.
The TVA is going to come and be like, you should have never had that conversation. We're resetting this.
Oh, no, they're here. I gave them like a finger. I said, 1 minute, please. We'll be done in a second. Then you can take me. So what do you think like the future of the series is going to be? Like, do you think they're going to focus more on him and the variant? Do you think they're going to focus on all these other timelines, the timekeepers? Like, where do you think this next few episodes is going to be set? Because it can't be at the TVA if there's all this other timeline shit going on, And that's my biggest question. Do you have any ideas?
I think we're probably going to do a lot of jumping back and forth between like Mobius, like just being on their tails. Like I think like at least the next episode is going to be just one long chase sequence where it's going to be like Mobius is like always just been one step behind them, and like Loki trying to like understand what this character wants. I had one more thing to say, kind of like almost theory-wise, but it's kind of a long shot, and I know it is before I even say it. So I understand, Dill, that it is a long shot, but I'm going to talk about it anyway.
If it starts with an M, I am logging out, and we're ending the show.
No, it has nothing to do with Mephisto.
Don't say it.
It has nothing to do with him.
It
has to do with one of the locations that we saw on the map that is not New York. And because I cannot stop thinking about the imagery of him sitting in that purplish looking planet with the woman dressed in black. And I looked back at that, and maybe it's just the coloring, but she does have red hair. She does not have blonde hair, as we've seen with this Lady Loki Enchantress character who has blonde hair. Maybe it is just the lighting that makes it look red. But I think that if she did something to like reset the time somehow at Vormir and was able to save Natasha, maybe even possibly Gamora as well, because we know Gamora ties into Thor Love and Thunder somehow.
Imagine if the next Guardians is a love triangle between Star-Lord and 2 Gamoras. Anyway, keep going. Imagine.
Present day Gamora would kick past Gamora's ass in a heartbeat because past Gamora's heart wouldn't even be in it that much. So present day Gamora would be like, no, like the unspoken thing with Peter Quill is between me and him.
Yeah. But then you get 2 Zoe Saldanas, which is, I think, a plus. But
I agree.
Yeah.
So I am like holding out for this, like obviously for Natasha to be saved some way, somehow, so that Black Widow isn't the last time we see Natasha.
I was gonna say maybe there's a reason Black Widow was delayed to premiere at the same time as Loki, because originally Loki was supposed to be earlier, but they pushed Loki. And
mhm.
maybe there's not, maybe it's not a coincidence. Maybe the two are meant to be, not romantically, but like
No,
meant to
no, no,
be
no, no.
together.
No, I know what you're
Who
saying.
knows?
But I just thought that it was interesting that,
Yeah,
like, I mean, they pretty much listed like every other planet that has come about in the MCU, but the fact that Vormir was specifically, and I wrote down the date, and it's not, it is, there's no date connection in the year of Endgame, because it takes the year that was reset or whatever happened at Vormir was April 23rd, 2301. And as we know, Endgame takes place in the year 2023, I think.
yeah, but maybe when you're a soul on Vormir, you're just you're still your soul, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe
Maybe.
it's this really old 300-year-old Natasha, and she's like, "You finally came for me." Sorry, this is about as far as I'll go by talking.
Okay. So you want to wrap it up? I mean, that
No,
was all I
no,
had to
no.
say
I mean, we
anyway.
can chat all day if you want. But yeah, no, I think that's as far as I'll go with my crazy theories.
Oh, okay.
He's gonna come across a 300-year-old Natasha on Vormir. That's
Oh,
gonna
okay.
happen.
Sure.
Marvel, I'm calling you now. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, so that was just like the one little piece of theory. I know it's a long shot, but I'm
No,
holding out for this.
you're holding out for a hero, if
I'm
you will.
holding out for a hero till the end of the night.
I'm amazed.
Full circle.
We've yeah. Wow.
So, Jill, where can they find you?
And that was your recap. Sorry, it's been a long day. Top painkillers and late nights and reviews, and I put out 3 videos this weekend. Like, it's been a lot. But you can find me at Dylan_Randazzo on Twitter. You can find me at Dylan Randazzo 417 on the TikTok, and you can find me at YouTube on the Dill Pickle Movie Network. If you're watching here, thank you. If you're listening to us, come see our faces, especially hers, because it's better than mine. And you can also see this amazing orange brick we have behind us, as well as my orange walls at my parents' house, and the orange Miss Minutes connection also. I don't know. I'm definitely putting Miss Minutes on our thumbnail for YouTube because I love her. It's my Halloween costume. I already texted Kelsey for next year. Yeah, you can find me there. I just posted review for Luca, which premiered on Disney Plus on Friday. I posted a review for that. And I also have been posting some reviews for 2011 movies 10 years later, looking at them in retrospective and seeing how they hold up, or in Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides case, how they have not held up. And yeah, that's about it. Kelsey, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Kelsey A. Kilpatrick. You can find me on TikTok, Cause13, or you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Cause Productions.
Anything cool coming to the channel soon you can tease for us?
Nope.
Okay.
Maybe. Check it out. Good stuff.
Check it out. And like we said, we will be doing 2 reviews in a few weeks. We will be doing a double review. We will have 1 episode for Loki and 1 episode for Black Widow, where we will be podcasting directly after the movie. We might do it on the street, Kels. Who knows? We can do it outside the theater.
We're going to Billy on the street this podcast. All right, let's do it.
Black Widow, what'd you think? All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Any last words, Kels?
No.
Okay.